Okay, so last week we started our idea of the covenant of fellowship within the youth group, and we discussed about covenant and what covenant is. What is it not? And we came to the conclusion that a covenant is different from a contract, and that a covenant is agreement of personal responsibility to another out of love and respect, whereas a contract is out of distrust and protection. A covenant is a responsibility that we feel to look out for one another regardless of what we get out of it. There's nothing in it for us when we talk about a covenant. Like, we're not looking out for number one, we're looking out for everybody else. And so this is a agreement that I'm going to have your back, and if I'm having your back and you have my back the way that I have yours, then we'll all be good. Then we talked about authenticity and mutuality. Authenticity being able to be real and be open, to be able to come into the group and to be able to share how we're really feeling, how things are really going, and not to be afraid of being ridiculed or to be judged or to be ostracized, but being able to be real, to come in and share your joys and your victories, to be able to share your hurts and your pains and your fears, and to be able to come and be real and be open and feel safe about doing that. Mutuality is encouraging one another. So just as much as others might be authentic, the rest of the group would mutually agree to encourage, to be able to build up, to be able to spur on, to be there for one another, to support one another. And as much as that would happen, if I'm the one coming in being authentic with an issue, with a problem, with a concern, I know that the covenant says that the others will have my back. They'll be there to support me. It's a place that I can go. And vice versa. If somebody else comes into the group and they're having an issue, I have covenanted that I'm going to be there to be able to support and encourage them. But this week we're going to start talking about sympathy. What is sympathy? Sometimes we get to the idea that it's just, oh man, that's too bad. I feel bad for that person. And we think, that's kind of the end of sympathy. It's understanding that somebody's having a bad time and that's kind of it. Or is it, I feel your pain? Sympathy actually does kind of go along that line. And it comes from the Greek word sympatheo, which means to I suffer with. In Hebrews, the author writes, for you showed sympathy to the prisoners and accepted joyfully the seizure of your property, knowing that you have for yourselves a better possession and a lasting one. The author here is saying that as the others were suffering, as the others were imprisoned, you came and showed sympathy. You allowed your things to be taken. You allowed your time to be taken. You allowed your freedom to be taken because you knew that something better was waiting for you. This is more than a feeling. Sympathy leads a person to do more than feel bad for a person or to feel the joy of a person. It leads to action. When you see an individual in trouble, sympathy pushes you to do something about it, not just to sit there and acknowledge that there's an issue taking place or that there's a problem or that there's a pain or there's a need. But sympathy actually says that you're going to do it. It's more than acknowledgement, it's action. So how does this get played out in the group? Through authenticity, being real, a need might be shared. You come in with a prayer request. You come in with a concern. You come in with a fear. You come in with a joy. You come in with a triumph. You come in and being real and being open with who you are. Sympathy allows those needs to be met. When you come in with a prayer request, sympathy leads the group to pray. When you come in with a need, sympathy leads the group to be able to find a way to help meet that need. Sympathy implies action. This is one of my favorite passages about how the church is supposed to actually function and how the church is supposed to play these kinds of things out. In 1 Corinthians 12, Paul talks about the church being a body. And it says, for as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body being many are still one body, so also it is with Christ. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body. For in fact the body is not one member, but many. And if one member suffers, all suffer with it. Or if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. So what does that mean? Your church, your youth group is made up of many members, of many people, but it's still one church, it's still one group. Each of those members have needs, each of those members have joys, each of those members have individual skills and abilities. And so the group, the church, is comprised of all these different pieces, but they're brought together for one goal, one purpose, and into one group. If one of those members suffers, then the whole group should suffer. It's kind of like this. If you smash your thumb with a hammer, your whole body aches and reacts to that. If I smash my thumb with a hammer, I'm going to grab my thumb with the other hand and I'm going to be curled over screaming in pain. My one little thumb, and compared to the rest of my whole body, is hurting, but the rest of my body reacts to that. The same should be true in the family and the church. When one member is hurting, the entire body, the entire group, the entire youth group should react to that. They shouldn't just sit there and say that they feel bad about it. Sympathy should drive them to do something about it. When one hurts, we all help out. When one is rejoicing about something, we should all be there to encourage and support and rejoice with them. So that's kind of what the first step is this week. Next week we'll get into mercy and how we are to show mercy to one another. Because Lord knows there's plenty of times when we need to show some forgiveness and mercy along with all these other attributes.